Hi everybody, welcome to RO Knits and Pearls episode 3. Episode 3 because True Crime Knit Night is going to be separate and distinct from my regular podcast. And that's so people who don't like true crime content or are particularly sensitive to true crime content, those don't get intermixed. So it's episode 3 of my regular knitting podcast where I just talk about yarn, stuff I knit, normal knitting stuff, and not murder. Really quickly, I just want to say thank you. I went into this experiment where I'm filming just myself talking about my knitting. I went into it with zero expectations. I really did. And you guys have blown me away like every week. I think I'm almost at like 1,000 views on one of my videos, and I have like 350 subscribers on YouTube, which is just staggering considered I really didn't expect a single subscriber. So thank you, truly. Again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I would die for every single one of you. Yeah. So thank you. I am in a weird mood. I'll just be honest about it. It's almost Mother's Day. This is my first year without my mom. For those of you who don't know, I lost my mom last year, 2 days after Christmas. So this is going to be my first everything without her. And I know it's silly, but like the idea of Mother's Day, it's just thrown me off. So apologize. I'm going to try and not think about it. I'm going to be upper and think about, my knits. So if I seem weird to you, like, I'm sorry, and I beg your patience. I'm just trying to work through it, okay? Thank you. I'm going to talk about things I bought recently, and then I'm going to talk about things I'm finished recently and things I'm working on. And you can't see, but I'm like pointing distinctly at them, and I think it's going to help me like remember things. It doesn't, but and then I'll go into my knits of last year. So that's what today's episode is going to be about. It's my 2020 knits. Okay, so really quickly, stuff I bought. I have stitch markers. So this first set is from Sable and Stone Co. Obviously. They're crystals or some kind of rock. I don't really know the difference between a rock and a crystal. Other people know more than me. But they're really beautiful. I really like the rectangular shape of them. I thought it was unique compared to a lot of the stuff I've seen out there, which is, traditionally like you do the beads, the little round circles, which I love. I have a lot of those. But I wanted something a little bit more unique this time, and I found it. She has a ton of sets that are just stunning on her Etsy. And again, as always, I will link everybody below, dyers, designers, makers. So definitely you should get one of these sets because I kind of want like 3 more of her sets, but I don't need that many stitch markers. But at the same time, I feel like I do. You know how it goes. But it's really beautiful. Yeah. Then the next stitch marker set, which if you guys haven't heard about her, I would be shocked. Not appalled, but shocked. This is Hello Lavender. I use her a lot. Reshma is a magician with clay. And this was from the Mean Purls collection, which was based on Mean Girls, obviously. And this one, if the camera will autofocus, is the candy cane set called You Go Glen Coco, and obviously it's from the scene where Damien comes in and he's like, you go Glen Coco, and he gives Glen Coco 4 of the little candy cane Valentine things. I forget what they were even related to. But like I was saying, I lost my mom near Christmas time, and I love the holidays. It's one of my favorite times of the year. So I am trying to shore up happy things for preparation for the holiday season. So I think maybe if I have lovely knits with this cute little candy cane stitch marker, I will think happy thoughts instead of sad ones. So that's my game plan. Really quickly, I'll go into new yarn. So this is Hypothesis Yarns in the colorway Royal. Chrissy, is based out of Canada, and you guys know me. I try not to buy too much international because I spend a lot of money on shipping when I do that. But Chrissy's yarns are really gorgeous, and there are some dyers that are just worth it, and she's one of them. And I got Royal. I got a bunch of skeins of this. I got 4 to pair it with this skein for a Carlina pattern. The floral color work pattern. I'm really excited. This is a Woolberry Fiber Company, obviously, and this colorway is called Christmas in the City. This was one of her skeins for the Sunday Advent, I believe is what she chose to call it. So the idea behind a Sunday Advent is that you get 4 full skeins instead of a bunch of minis, and you open one a week in the month of December. And I love the way these play together. I'm really excited about using them. So that's that. Then also from Hypothesis Yarns, I was one of the very, very lucky people who got sweater quantity of The Naturalist. Again, by Hypothesis, this colorway was one of her most popular in her recent update, which she said she was surprised by, and I can't understand how you could be surprised because this colorway is so stunning. It was made for me, which I shared this on my Instagram because it was so stunning I couldn't help but not. So if you guys are seeing it again, I'm sorry, but also not sorry because it's really beautiful. And it's so me, like pink, speckly, come on, like had to be me. Yes. And then the last batch of, well, actually no, there's 2 batches of yarn I'll show you. So the other one is more Wandering Flock. I mean, are you surprised? I have so much of this. I have 4 skeins, and I have no idea what I'm going to make with it. The colorway is called Rainbow Sherbet. So you guys can see the deets. Obviously, I'll link her Etsy below. I link it every week, I feel like, because I talk about her all the time. But I'm really excited about it. It kind of reminds me of, was her name Esmeralda in Hunchback of Notre Dame? Notre Dame. Don't hate me. I almost went to Notre Dame, the school, and they pronounce it that way. Did you guys know that? For those of you who are French, like the university in America that's called Notre Dame is actually pronounced Notre Dame, which is awful. But I almost went to their law school, but I didn't. It's really beautiful. Yes. I don't remember how I got on that tangent. Esmeralda, that's right. It reminds me of the colors of Esmeralda. I don't know if I'm making that up, but in my brain, that's how it works. Finally, I have shared one of this before. So I've shared this on my Instagram before. Y'all know I love Ame, La Bien Ame. Is it La Bien Ame? La Bonne Ame? I don't speak French. I've told you guys before, and I'll say it again. I don't know French. French pronunciation seems to me like it breaks all the rules, but that's just because I don't know their rules. But it's a variegated colorway, obviously. It's called Pêche Mignon. Pêche, which I believe is peach. If I'm mispronouncing that, I'm sorry, but I think I got Mignon right. And it's really pretty, but I got this from the Hill Country Weavers virtual retreat when they were featuring Ame's yarn, which I was so excited about. But I didn't know what I was going to make with it. I just got 2 skeins because it's stunning. Then Stress Knits, Stacey Elstone, whom I adore, you guys know that, came out with this color. This colorway is called Apricot. And I obviously got a mohair, but it's more peach than her It's My Jam colorway. It's My Jam is definitely more pink than peach. And I think held together, it's going to blend the speckles and variegation really well into creating a more cohesive fabric in terms of color. So I'm very excited about it. And I'm obsessed with this color now. Stacey, you're doing amazing. I love you. Yes. So that's yarn I bought, stitch markers I bought. Now I can talk about finished object. I literally just posted about this on my Instagram. So if you are seeing this again, sorry, not sorry. I love it. And I'm especially proud of it because I don't knit cardigans. You guys know I don't knit cardigans. You gotta knit it back and forth. It's flat. It's just purling. Like, who has time for that? That's just my opinion. But this again is the Gabrielle Cardigan summer version for Gregoria Fibers. This is in Gregoria Fibers yarn cotton merino, which is 70% cotton, 30% merino. And I love the feel of it. It's like a softer linen, I guess is the best way to describe it. It blocked out beautifully, and I'm really proud of this because for those of you who don't know, I am bad at picking up stitches. Like in my knit groups and circles, I was always like screaming when I had to pick up stitches because I was so bad at it. They never looked even. But this year, I've really spent a lot of time and attention on working on this skill, and I think I've improved a lot. I'm so proud of it. Yes. It fits really comfortably. I'm going to wear it open. I just like it, the look of it hung up when you can see the buttons. It really just, it makes a world of difference when you do so on the buttons. And I procrastinated sewing on the buttons for a really long time, so it looks good. It looks good. I'm going to wear this on the beach when I go visit my cousin in California next week. I got my second dose 2 weeks ago, so I am at full immunity, baby. So I'm really excited. It's going to be perfect for the beach, I think, especially with the cotton. Anyway. Yes. And what I was saying about picking up stitches, that being something I was working on, like, some people have reached out to me saying, like, they find my knits really inspiring. And for a maker, I think that's the greatest thing I've ever heard, because I always look to designers and dyers and other knitters just on Ravelry, and I'm like so inspired by their choices. Like, how would they even come up with that? Like, that's incredible. I want to do that. So the idea that somebody could look at what I do and find that inspiring, it's the best feeling in the world, truly. But I've also heard from some people that they're like, oh my god, your knits are so inspiring, but I could never do what you do. Like, you're so advanced. And I just want to quickly say, like, I don't feel like I'm an advanced knitter at all. I am a fast knitter. I will admit that I'm a fast knitter, but if you told me I was an advanced knitter, I'd say, which I am saying now, like, I'm not. I learned how to do everything on my own, pretty much, except for knitting, purling, casting on, and casting off. My mom taught me that when I was 9. But, like, everything else in knitting, I taught myself. I taught myself through YouTube, through reading tutorials. So I often feel like I am making things up as I go along. Like, I think people struggle with that a lot. Like, you feel like an imposter. Maybe that's what I'm struggling with, imposter syndrome, but I really don't think that's it, because there's definitely things in knitting where I found that it works for me. It may not work for other people. So that's really what I want to stress, that even if you're like just starting out with knitting, you're not doing things the wrong way. Nobody else is doing things the right way. We're all just learning as we go along. That's what I love so much about knitting, that I'm always learning and always improving. I just want to make that clear, so everybody knows how I feel. I'm not an advanced knitter. If anyone tells you they're an advanced knitter, I don't know. I'm an experienced knitter. I'll say I'm an experienced knitter, but I would never call myself an advanced knitter. I'm still a student of the fiber arts, just like you. Speaking of learning, so in this test knit, which I did share on my Instagram, but I'm so obsessed with it, I have to share it with you guys again. Ta-da! This is the Sea Glass Tee by Woolen Pine. And again, Woolen Pine is the collaboration design super house between Dank Fiber and Abby Knits. And I'm obsessed with this. This uses up a bunch of colors. I'm using up like 20 colors, but they're all scraps. And it's 1x1 color work, so it almost looks woven at the end of it. And like, if you look at the back, it really does look woven. Sorry, you can see my ends hanging out there. Like, it's really pretty. I'm obsessed with it. I love the way it's working out. I love the fact that I'm stash busting. It makes me feel a lot less guilty about buying so much yarn. Yeah, but it's really gorgeous. Obviously, I'm going with a pastel palette. Just because that's the minis and random skeins and leftovers that I have. That's my palette, so it works out. Some people I know are using even more colors than I am because they just have a lot of minis, especially if you buy Advents. I don't buy Advents pretty much ever. Last year's Wilbury Sunday Advent with the full skeins was the first time I ever did it. I don't really buy a lot of minis. I know people who buy a ton and have a ton, and I'm mainly talking about my friend Megan. Kimchi and Co, I'm talking about you. Yes, you. She has a ton of minis, y'all. It's crazy. But anyway, if you have ever gotten an Advent and been like, okay, what do I do with these? Like, this is what I recommend. The sea glass tea. It's really fun. It's so fun. And don't be intimidated by all these ends. Actually, what this pattern does, you use the magic knot method, which creates a very, very secure knot. Like, it's not going to come out. But the reason I'm leaving them all just hanging out is because I want to get like one of those anti-fray glues. Not glues, maybe just a binding agent. But it basically prevents the fibers from fraying, just because I'm very paranoid about all the hard work I've put into it coming undone. That I'm going to first apply the anti-fraying glue on the knots before I cut the end super short. And then it will essentially be a seamless knit. Like that's where it is. Like, obviously it's going to be even neater once I block everything out and tuck in the knots a little bit, but like, yeah, it's really gorgeous. Yeah, don't be intimidated by all those ends. You will not have to weave them in. I am not weaving in ends on this, and I really am happy with it. If you can't tell, like, super happy. So that's what I'm working on, sea glass tea. And the sea glass tea, you will see, if you look very closely, you would see lots of colors making a reappearance in my fat stack of sweaters. And that brings me to the meat of today's video. I'm going to talk about my knits of 2020. Now, I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't talk about what 2020 was, which was a hellscape. Like, let's be real. Emotionally and psychologically, I think I handled it a lot better than most of the people in my life, because I already tend to be introverted. I already spend most of my free time knitting. So the only thing that changed for me was where I was. I was in my last semester of law school in Austin, Texas, but when the pandemic hit, I decided to go spend it with my family, who live in rural Oklahoma. Rural, if I can pronounce that. Rural. Yeah, countryside Oklahoma. And for those of you who are not from the US and don't know, Oklahoma is like the middle of nowhere. There's not really anything to do. It's country life. But it really worked out for me, because that way I could focus on spending time with my family and knitting, which I did a lot of. So yeah, I was in a great space. But then, like I mentioned, 2 days after Christmas, my mom died last year. So 2020 for me is always going to be linked with that loss, and not necessarily the loss of being able to go out to eat and going out to coffee shops, which was my pastime when I lived in Austin. But anyway, it did give me a lot of free time to knit. And I know for some people who are in the pandemic, they felt that they couldn't knit, they couldn't be creative. We all respond to stress and trauma differently, and that's not, I don't choose that word lightly, but what the pandemic is trauma. Like, our kids are gonna grow up like traumatized by this memory. So if you feel like you had an especially hard year last year, like, you did. It wasn't made up. You're not making it up. Like, it was hard. So I see you. You know, if you weren't able to knit and be creative, that's okay. I went the opposite way just because the illusion of being productive was so important to me that that's how I expressed myself. Like, we all approach things differently. But anyway, that's my long tangent, just to say, like, it was a hard year. We're out of that year. We're in this year, and hopefully it won't be as terrible. It's hard for me to imagine a worse year, honestly, at this point. But anyway, I'll start chronologically. This is all chronological. I knit actually 23 sweaters in 2020, and my private goal to myself, well, I did share it with other people because I wanted to other people to hold me accountable because I wasn't really sure that I could do it. My goal was 20 sweaters in 2020, which is why I started using the hashtag like 20 for 2020, I think it was. I stopped using it halfway through because I realized I was gonna make my goal like easily, and I did. I knit 23 sweaters. One of them isn't here because it was a gift, so it's a ways. Um, but yeah, so always tell people your goals. It will help you once you like vocalize it to other people. It actually helps motivate you to make it happen. That's a psychological trick, and so I do the same thing this year. I will tell you my goal, everybody, is 25 sweaters because I knit 23 last year. I could do 25. But I am taking a little bit easier this year because I had a couple tank tops and I am including those. So it's all projects that I cast on and cast off this year. And I think I'm at 11, maybe 12. Yeah, I'm on schedule, so I'm really excited about it. But anyway, let's go back in time to January. January 2020, I started and finished the Sunray. Sonrae, if I'm pronouncing that right. Sunray. But it's by Knit Love Wool or Jen Steinglass. I adore knitting for Jen. She's one of the designers who I test knit for that really challenged my idea of what I could do. When I first test knit for her, it was on the mid coast, I believe, and it was like a 3-week deadline. And I was like, I don't think that I can do this because I had never knit something monogamously that quickly before. So I didn't know how quickly I could knit. And I really was unsure of myself. I didn't think I could do it, but I wanted to try and challenge myself. And I finished that one in 10 days. So I realized like, oh, I can do it. Like, yeah. So always be willing to challenge yourself. You may surprise yourself. And the Sunray that I did, this one, it's beautiful. I gave it to my mom, but she never actually wore it because she said it was so pretty that she would feel horrible if something happened to it. The yarn that I used is Magpie Fibers Swanky Sock. I don't remember the colorway names, but it's definitely on my Ravelry. So if you guys are so inclined, you can look at it there. But I love this pattern. I'm in love with the variegation and the contrast color. See it? Like, it really is stunning, and I'm very happy with it. And that was January. Also in January, beginning February, was the hardest knit of my life. This is The Illusionist by Unwind Knitwear. The designer behind it, her name is Rachel, Unwind Knitwear. She's based out of the UK, and her pattern incorporates a fade as well as color work, as you can see kind of here. And this contrast color, like the actual color work, it actually uses 2 colorways. So in this middle sections here, I was literally using 4 colors at a time. So it was definitely my most challenging knit. And I felt way in over my head. I didn't feel as confident with color work as I do now. But I knew it was going to be beautiful. So I really, really, really pushed myself. And I'm so glad that I did because it's stunning. The fade that I used is La Bien Aimée. This is the fade that she used, I think, for a Cozy Classic Raglan. I could be misremembering, but again, it's on my Ravelry. Like, all these colors it's a fade that she came up with. I know for a fact that the top color is Winter. The pinky gray color here is Fiori, which, it's gorgeous. Yeah, I wish I could remember every colorway, including the contrast color that I used. I don't, unfortunately. Again, this was last year, and I've had many, many knits since then. But it really is a stunning pattern. It was challenging, but so worth it because I am probably the most proud of this knit. And you guys have seen this. I wore it for my True Crime Knit Night, my first episode. This is called the Kolwa sweater. The designer is Indie Bell Fibers, and you can see the little detail on the hems, like the little colorwork details. I love this sweater. It fits like a glove, and the fiber that I use, the yarn that I used, is Julie Aslin Fino. And I bought it at Hill Country Weavers. So if you're looking for an American supplier stockist, that's where I got mine. And I really do love the way this turned out. Yeah, it's simple color work. It has a little bit of texture added to it, like you can see here, the little purl stitches. I'm very much in love with this sweater. It's very comfortable and cute. And then I talked about this sweater a lot in my last episode, but this is Twillin Prince Morning Cup sweater. Like I said, this was her first sweater design, and I think she did a phenomenal job. Like I chose to add in the little gold trim, and I chose to add in the tea bags as well. She designed it thinking it was coffee cups and did not, she didn't incorporate a tea bag, but I wanted to because I drink tea more than I drink coffee. But I really do love the way this turned out. Like I told you guys last time, this main color is October House in the colorway Blueberry Trifle. As a UK dyer, she really did pick a UK name, Trifle. I really love it. I love icy blues. This is the first appearance of the Life in the Long Grass Pink Antique. You can see the little sheep heads and the smoke rising out, or steam rising out. Yeah, I love this pattern. Tiffany did a great job designing it. And if you haven't gotten a copy, I highly recommend it because it's really cute. Then I have, this is Wildflower by the Petite Knitter. So Petite Knitter, not to be confused with Petite Knits. I run into a lot of people who get them confused and don't realize they're distinct. The Petite Knitter is based in the Arctic. She is living there with her husband, I believe, and it's gorgeous. She's an incredible designer. I try to test knit for her as many times as I can. I've done quite a few, and this sweater was actually my first time using one. It was my first time using knitting for olive mohair, which you guys know I'm a huge fan of. But this was my first all mohair sweater ever, and I didn't realize it, but mohair. Butters, you're not going to ruin this video too. Sorry, guys. My dog is complaining at me to let her outside onto the patio just to sunbathe, and I don't know how to edit videos. So if you hear her randomly grunting like a little piggy, that's what's going on. And I didn't think mohair could do color work really well, but I love it. The white color is obviously Cloud. Again, it makes a reappearance. That's my favorite color. This reddish color is called Forest Berry, and I've seen skeins of Forest Berry look more pink. But the ones that I got, my batch was definitely more red, and it turned out perfectly for what I wanted. But if you do order Forest Berry, just be aware that it can look more pink than this does. The gray is not knitting for olive, however. The gray is Ito Kinu. Kinu is the line, Ito is the brand, and that's a Japanese company. And the colorway is Goat. If you look very closely, actually there's like specks of gold. The silk that they use to bind the gray mohair is actually a gold silk. So I think it adds a beautiful depth to it. But I really do love this. And it taught me to kind of broaden the way I thought about color work, that you can incorporate mohair and it will look beautiful if you do. Yeah, I really do love this pattern. It's very luxurious and it makes me feel like I'm being wrapped up in a hug, which who doesn't need more of? Of course, you guys have seen this before. I wore this in my very, very first episode. And I did have a French viewer tell me I pronounced it correctly, Jolie Fleur, so thank you very much. I'm shocked that it was correct. Again, the pink is a one-of-a-kind skein from Autumn and Indigo. The main color is Hedgehog Sock in the colorway Dew. I do own quite a bit of Hedgehog Sock, even though it's pretty much commercial at this point, because I like the twist, and when you can see the skeins in person, you can really gauge whether or not they'll be consistent. So I really like the way it turned out. This one, I'm not as happy with the way it turned out. So the love note, this is the love note, obviously by Tin Can Knits. I love the pattern, but I think I could do a better job with the lace. I'm not happy with how the leaves turned out. Do you see like the big bumps at the bottom there? I'm not happy with it. Also, this yarn is a big old mystery. I know the mohair that I held with it. This was Ito Kinu in the colorway silver, but the mauve maroon color, I have no idea what it is. It was in my stash. It was probably 6 or 7 years old, and I had lost the round tag that goes around it, the label that went around it. So I have no idea what it is, and I think this pattern would be much better suited for a solid color rather than this slightly variegated color. So I am still to this day reconsidering whether or not to rip out. Yes, even though it would be painful, I'm thinking about ripping out so that I can reclaim this yarn and just do a simple stockinette, because I think it would look better as simple stockinette. But that's just my opinion. I haven't decided whether or not I will do it, because when am I really ever going to have the time to undo a sweater and re-knit it, right? With the test schedule that I have. This one is called Leafy Love by Jill Carina. This is another Jill Carina. Of course, Jolie Fleur is Jill Carina. I told you guys last time. But I signed up for Jolie Fleur, and then she released this one for testing, and I messaged Jill, and I was like, Jill, like, can I please do both, because I'm in love with both, and you know I'm good. You know I can finish. And she was like, yeah. And I'm really glad that I asked, because I really loved the way it turned out. Obviously, it's a leaf motif. I chose this contrast color because it reminded me of maple and fall, even though this was a spring knit. But the main color is a yak yarn. I believe it's from Hill Country Weavers, their in-house yak yarn. I love it. It's so soft. I understand why it's so expensive as a fiber, because it really is just gorgeous to the touch. And the contrast color is named Mother Ginger, and I really do adore this color. I want another sweater in it, because normally I don't want more than one sweater in a single color, because I want diversity. I want variety in my knits. But this color is really just stunning. And that's by Sugar Plum Circus. I buy a lot of Jensen's yarn, so I highly recommend her. Yes. And then this one, I have a couple of short sleeves here. This one was my Cactus Crop by Boho Chic Fiber Co. And again, I'll link everybody if I'm mispronouncing or misremembering their names. This was a while ago. This was exactly almost 1 year ago, actually. There's some wrinkles in the fabric because I haven't taken out my summer knits in quite some time, obviously, because it's only just getting into summer. But the main color is Pearl Soho Linen Quill. The green color is Stash that I had left over for years and years. This pink color, pink red, is leftover Quince & Co. Turn. And the gold you see here, I decided to add that in as a design element. It was just a plain pot, but I thought it would look cuter with a little stripe, and it does. It looks super cute, and I've seen other people incorporate it as well after they saw my test, so that was really flattering. But this gold color is used in my Twill and Print sheep sweater that I just showed you as the tea bag and the little squiggly on the sleeve. So you will see I try to incorporate scraps wherever I can. But yeah, I really love it. I didn't realize that. I was really dumb. I ordered linen quill thinking this is perfect for a summer knit because it uses linen. But I didn't realize it also incorporates alpaca, which obviously is a very warm fiber. So it's not really a summer knit. But it looks really cute. So, yeah. Then I have another short sleeve. This one is the Intersecting Tee, again by Unwind Knitwear. This one is rather large. It turned out very large, and I think it's just because I maybe blocked it too aggressively, but that's because I had to even out this, and even now you can see the odd shape to the sleeve versus the color work yoke. And this is a problem that was dealt with after testing. So if you get the pattern now, that issue won't be there. And you're welcome. It's because Kelly of the Red Pansy and I provided feedback that the way that the pattern was written at the time in testing was like you were increasing along the neckline here. You could see the yoke increases, but then there was only one increase in the entire chart for color work, but then you increased a bunch right after with the sleeve. So essentially you were creating a shape that was like this, which is not a flattering look on a yoke, maybe on a body, but not on a yoke. So Rachel took our feedback and she incorporated more increases into the colorwork chart, as far as I know. So you won't run into this issue if you get the pattern. But that's why you test, or that's why designers want people to test, so that people like us, like me and Kelly, will call that out. The main color is lichen and lace, I believe in the colorway lace, or antique lace, I think it was. But you could see the difference in the two skeins here. I did alternate a little bit, so it kind of looks like a fade, even though I didn't intentionally mean for that. I'm just happy the way it turned out. This the contrast color you see here is that same mauve mystery skein from the love note that I showed you just a second ago. So again, I am always trying to use up my scraps. That was before Sea Glass or anyone thought that you could come up with an entirely scrappy tee from, scraps. I'm not very eloquent today. Forgive me. Then this one, I believe, is called Wood Smoke. And it's just a classic yoke sweater. But the yarn that I used, I really love this knit fabric. First off, the yoke sweater, even though it's just a classic fit, it's very comfortable, it's easy to knit, and it was fun to knit because I knew I was always going to wear it. This colorway is called Hubble, like the Hubble telescope, from Wildwood Fibers. April, she's out of the Pacific Northwest, and she does great stuff with yarn, truly. And I love the speckles in this so much. Like, it knits up beautifully, right? And the mohair I held double with, and I'm sorry if you hear background noise, there was some very loud motorcycle just driving by. The mohair that I held it with is Shibui Knits Silk Cloud. That's their mohair line, and it was just their white. They have an undyed color that's more off-white, but this is their white. So I think it helped preserve like the brightness of this shade. And I really love it. It's very comfortable, very easy. Okay. Next is the Misty Jumper. Misty Jumper by Irene Lin. She is a designer based out of, I believe, Taiwan, and she does incredible stuff. But Misty Jumper is super cute. This is in DK weight. The main color is Stress Knits Ophelia. Like, it's this gorgeous, like, pinkish tan with speckles of green and green, blue, pink, yellow. It's stunning. My mom would watch me as I knit this and just marvel at how pretty it was, and it's really stunning. And obviously there's mohair along the collar, so it has this very feminine ethereal look to it. It made me feel like a woodland fairy when I wore it. Yeah, it's really stunning. Oh, the mohair is Knitting for Olive. Obviously they're silk mohair, but in the colorway I believe Dusty Rose is what I did. But yeah, it's really pretty, it's really cute. Originally, I made it for my mom, but she never wore it. That was her thing. She always asked for the stuff I knit, and I would give it to her, but she never wore it because she didn't want them to get ruined. When I cleared out her things after she passed, I found all the knits that I'd made her, just safely tucked away, and she had kept little cedar sachets in them because I told her that you needed to take good care of these knits, and she did. But I think she took too good care of them because she never wore them. Then I have another short sleeve. This is the Summer Sorrel, which is another woolen pine design. And this was the first time I ever learned about this dip stitch, you can see here. And it was just a fun summer knit. I'm really glad that I signed up for this because, again, woolen pine always teaches me new techniques that I normally would not learn on my own. Such as this dip stitch. I just had a lot of fun, and I also learned the I-cord cast on, which was new to me. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's very cute. The colorway that I used, I don't recall the name, but I know it's by Zoe Nitcole, or as she's better known, Felicity Yarn Studio. She also has a YouTube as well, so if you want to check her out, I highly recommend it. She has gorgeous yarn, and she does super cute things with speckles. I love her yarn. I bought a bunch of it last year, and I will continue to. I've been buying a lot of yarn. You know, everybody in their order, right? But Summer Sorrel by Wool and Pine, super cute. And then, so this was okay. So I have a bunch of summer knits that are left still. Summer was long, and it like they use heavy weights like this, the Celosius by Knit Love Wool or Jen Steinglass. Celosius was in DK, and this was in the middle of June. So it was very hot. I took the finished object photo outdoors, because the lighting was nice, but I was sweating, you know. But oh, sorry. The main color is Blushing Botanist by Less Traveled Yarn, or Traveling Yarn. I always get confused because the website says one thing, but they call themselves Traveling Yarn. Anyway, they're great. I love them. A husband-wife duo. They're great. Blushing Botanist. The contrast color here you see is actually leftover Ophelia from the Misty jumper that I just showed you. Like I said, I'm always trying to use up scraps, and this was really cute, I thought, because Ophelia looked so earthy and like woodland like that it really fit well with the Blushing Botanist, I thought, in terms of theme and also color. It looks really nice. But yes, that's Celosius by Jen Steinglass. Then I have another hot knit that I knit when it was hot. This is Sun Up on 82nd by JP Knits Things. I don't want to mispronounce her name. I know it's Jennifer Parokia. I don't want to mispronounce it. But JP Knits Things, again, I'll link people. The yarn that I got, the Etsy user was named Chip Knits, but I haven't seen their shop post anything yet, which is a damn shame because I really, really love these speckles. Do you see that? Yeah, I got a set of speckle, sock, and mohair, and it was just gorgeous. Like, it was gorgeous. And the details on the Sun Up, by the way, are really excellent. Like, you can see here the sleeve detail, like, under there. It was interesting to knit. It looks nice, and because of the raglan increases, which incorporate like texture, it just really does look special, even with a more plain yarn, which this is. Even though it has speckles, it's pretty solid color, you know. But Sun Up on 82nd, this was a great one as well. I really love it. I'm still just obsessed with that. Look at that fabric, so pretty. Okay. The next one is by Jessica M. McDonald, another one. So you'll remember Jessica M. I did her Wood Smoke. This one is called Desert Spring. There's another almost classic design, but I love the lace bit that's incorporated in the yoke. Like you can see here up close. The colorway is Fox by Sugar Plum Knits, or Sugar Plum Fibers yarn. Sugar Plum Circus. Oh my god, sorry. Wow, I'm really embarrassed that you guys had to see that. So Sugar Plum Circus in the colorway Fox, and I really love it. It blocked out beautifully. I'm just super happy with it. 100%. Love it. Then I showed you guys this last time, and I know you guys have seen it a bunch, so my Criterion. The main colorway is Yoshi and Lucy. They're named after her cats, I believe, Yoshi and Lucy. The contrast color is Held Together Mohair, one from Birch Fiber Company, which was, I believe, her hot pants, or mom's hot pants. And the other color, there's actually, if you look closely, there's a little depth to the pink. It's not just one tone. But the darker pink is Chasing Rabbits, who is local to Texas. So I got that. And again, my Ravelry has all the colorway information because I made it at the time. I don't just live with the knowledge of the colorways in my brain at all times. Maybe when I'm in a better headspace. But anyway, this is Maori Tau. I don't want to mispronounce it because it is an indigenous word. The designer Aroha Knits. She is Maori, and I adore her work. And I felt so lucky to be included in this test knit. Really, I truly did. So a lot of her designs are inspired by traditional Maori design elements, and I love her. Also, it gets confusing because for those of you who don't know, my full name is Aro Han, and like I said, her handle is Aroha Knits. So a lot of people will message me thinking I'm her. I don't think she gets the same problem reversed, but it is very interesting. Anyway, I love her. The yarn that I used is Hedgehog Fibers Typewriter, and this was stash yarn that I had for literally 7 years before I used it. Yeah, so 7 years old yarn, finally used it. I really love the way it looks. And this contrast color, the pink, is actually left over from my sun up on 82nd. Again, see, I'm always trying to use up stash. And this cable detail is actually like, you don't need a cable needle to do it because it's just a single strand at a time that you're cabling. And I really love the way that it looked at. It's really cute. It's the honeycomb look. If I was making another one, I would want obviously a gold honeycomb, but I tried to find a contrast color to gold that I really liked, and I couldn't do it other than just navy, and I thought that was just too basic, too predictable. Then I have my, is this Golden Fern? No, Golden Fern is another one. Hold on, I'm gonna look up the name to this because I don't want to get it wrong. It's always embarrassing to get it wrong. Oh, Gold Wing. So I knew there was a gold in it. Okay. So Gold Wing, this is another knit love wool pattern. I knit a lot of her stuff. This was actually made as a shop sample for Blazing Needles when I worked there during the holiday season. And this was done in Madeline Tosh Vintage, which is her worsted base. And the colorways I have forgotten, but they're really pretty. I really like it. I got it back as a shop sample instead of getting paid for it, so it worked out okay. But I really love it. It's dense, it's heavy. Like, I used a lot of yarn for this, but no regrets. Just, I love it. And in the winter time, it's perfect. Like, obviously fall as well because the orange is so suited for fall. This one is the Tweedy Dip Stitch by Annie Haas, another Annie Haas pattern. You can see the little dip stitches here. I actually decided to experiment. So the yarn itself is Hedgehog Fibers, the Tweedy base, obviously from the name. I decided to experiment a little bit, and when it was blocking, I decided to put it in the dryer just for a few minutes, like 10 minutes, to let it kind of felt. I chose to do this because I wanted to see how the little slubby bits would incorporate, the little tweed bits would incorporate. And actually the tweed bits, for those of you who haven't worked with Tweedy before, just a heads up, it doesn't look like the neon tweed bits have been treated and pre-washed because there was bleeding that occurred when I wet blocked it. So if you are blocking a Tweedy work, I recommend steam blocking or just very, very light misting, because when I just soaked it, it definitely did bleed. But it actually looks good, I think. And the light felting look, I don't mind on this. I have sweater quantity of Tweedy for another project eventually, and I won't felt that one. This was just an experiment. And I'm happy with the way it looks, and it's super cute. I wear it over a denim dress. It's nice. So now, guys, we are an hour in. We are at like the last two of 2020. This one is Alder Cove. Alder Cove by Samantha Guerin Designs. And again, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your names. I do love you all. She's a great designer, Samantha. We talked a lot about this. I actually, I got the yarn from Lavender Loon, and that was the suggested yarn. But the colorway that I got was a little bit more skin toned than I expected. But it actually worked out perfectly because at the same time, Shelly Can started her what was it, like flesh tone knit along? I don't even remember. Naked knit along or something. But it's very flesh toned. Like it's literally my flesh tone. And it turned out really well. Actually, it looks really cute on. And I'm happy I got it because I got to, you know, be part of that make along and also have this cute pattern made up. And this was my first time using slub by itself, and that's when I realized I don't like the look of crinkly yarn. I would rather not use slub by itself. So that's the only thing I would change. If I was doing this again, I would hold it with, you know, a lace or something just to make it look a little bit less crinkly. Like you can see the crinkles, you know what I mean? It's a minute detail, just something I learned as I was working with it. The last knit of 2020 is the Golden Fern. This is obviously another Knit Love Wool pattern. This was her 2021 New Year pattern. She released it on New Year's. And we started testing in December for it. The main color is this gorgeous peachy pink with rainbow speckles, which you guys know is everything I love. But that's from Casual Fashion Queen in a one-of-a-kind colorway she called Mooly Grass. And I adore it. It's stunning. The contrast color is Magpie. I don't remember the colorway, but it was a gift from my friend Kiki of You Not Me Knits. You Not Me. And as part of the fiber swap we did, and it just went really well with the Mooly Grass color, so it ended up perfect. This was the knit that I was working on. I had actually finished this knit, and it was done blocking and everything. I just needed to take model photos of it when my mom passed, so I didn't feel up to modeling this sweater for a very, very long time, just because of all the memories it carried, which is silly, you know, but yeah. But the yarn really is stunning. Like, if she could make more of this, I would buy more of it, absolutely, because I really love this color. So yeah, this has definitely been my longest video. If you guys have watched every single one of them, I'm sorry if it got repetitive. I know there was a lot of sweaters. Again, I'm hoping to do 25 sweaters this year, so we'll see if that happens. But truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching all my videos, for sending me messages and sharing. Like, I have appreciated all of it. The knitting community, I only started getting my knitting Instagram is only 3 years old. And it's really plugged me into a lot. Like, it's introduced me to a lot of people, a lot of great people that I consider friends. And when my mom passed, it was like one of my only outlets to connect with people. And I've shared it on my Instagram before, but my mom is the one who taught me to knit. So when I knit, it feels like we're connected still. I'm sorry. So thank you for watching. For every one of you, like, have a happy Mother's Day. You know, reach out to your mom. I'm sorry. Next week I won't cry. Next week I'm hoping to film a video, a true crime video. I know I said I would only do it once a month, but there's this case that I've been obsessed with for 3 years, and I think I'm just ready to talk about it. We'll see if I do it. But again, I'm really sorry I cried. I really wasn't planning on it, but it just kind of happened. Yeah, thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.